and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to, in the increasingly desperate hunt for points. And it is the penultimate round of 2014, the Brazilian Grand Prix, driving for Caterham. In real life, a Grand Prix, much like the last one at COTA, that Caterham didn't actually compete in. And we're not far from the team's demise. But as you can see, 19th in the standings, 0 points. Not helped by the fact that in the last round, was it the last round? I think it was. In COTA, Romain Grosjean scored points. So our rivalry is done and dusted. He beat us 4-0 in the end, I think. And he's got points on the board. And we've bottled a couple of chances this season, and we're running out of time to see if we can claim something. This one, let's take a look at the standings, and we'll talk a little bit about Brazil. As I said there, 19th spot, one of now only 5 drivers yet to score, Jean-Eric Vergne being the only other one, alongside ourselves, the other Caterham of Kobayashi, and the 2 Marussias of Chilton and Bianchi. As you can see there, Grosjean up to 15th with his point score at COTA. At the top end of things, Lewis Hamilton is the drivers' champion for 2014. It's his second championship in this series. 2012, I want to say. Might be wrong. But he has taken 2 titles in this series so far. Rosberg will be a fairly comfortable second, as long as he can just maintain the gap to Sebastian Vettel, who's in 3rd. Fernando Alonso there in 4th. Then it's Ricciardo. Raikkonen. Hulkenberg's impressive 2014 continues. He's in 7th, ahead of Bottas, Button and Magnussen. Massa is in 11th, ahead of Perez, and then it's the battle with the single pointers, Kvyat, Sutil, Grosjean, Maldonado, and Gutierrez, and then those of us at the back. In the Constructors, Mercedes won the Constructors title 2 rounds ago, back at Russia. So that's all done and dusted. Red Bull probably far enough ahead of Ferrari to claim 2nd. Ferrari far enough ahead of everybody else to claim 3rd. Force India, McLaren and Williams battling over 4th. Force India edging slightly away from their Mercedes-powered rivals. Lotus jumped Sauber and Toro Rosso with those 4 points from Grosjean last time out. We remain 10th with 0 points, but ahead of Marussia, based pretty much solely on my results this season more than anything else. A few 11th places, a few 13ths. We've been so close. And as I say, it is the penultimate round of the season. It is the Brazilian Grand Prix, a race that normally provides drama, a circuit I don't mind whatsoever, but in a car that really has no pace and very little hope for points. It would really be nice to not finish this season on a 0, but I fear that's what's coming. And when you consider places like Canada and Singapore, where we definitely bottled points, and Russia as well, to an extent. I think we were in the conversation there for points too. It'll be even more galling getting to the end of this one with nothing on the board. We really, though, should see just how tough it's going to be to score at Interlagos. So let's go over to practice. While we do, we'll talk about the real world. 2014 Brazilian Grand Prix. Welcome then to episode 100 of Blue Flag Bandits, the penultimate round of the 2014 season, which was held at the popular Interlagos, the Brazilian Grand Prix. And much like the previous round at COTA, only 18 drivers would arrive at the circuit, as Caterham and Marussia's ongoing financial issues saw Bernie Eccleston grant both teams further dispensation to miss this round as well.
You're showing good R&D pace, keep it up.
The FIA once again tested the virtual safety car after the open practice session, a session led by Mercedes, as had been the norm for 2014. Only 16 cars managed to set lap times, as Button and Gutierrez both suffered issues that kept them from getting on track, while Force India test driver Daniel Ricciardo crashed heavily. Rosberg led Hamilton and Kvyat, the Toro Rossos, both showing a turn of pace. The second practice session was a disrupted affair. First Vergne, then Alonso, and then Gutierrez bringing out red flags for various reasons, the Ferrari in a fiery fashion. Due to the damage suffered in the first session, Perez would be unable to set a lap time, while at the top end, Rosberg would once again lead the way, ahead of Hamilton and Raikkonen. The final practice session was a less chaotic affair, save for Gutierrez almost being caught out by a puddle on the curb at Junção after overnight rain. Rosberg would once again top the times. setting a near record lap time ahead of Hamilton and home hero Massa.
That didn't give us the required information. There's enough time left in the session to give it another try.
Much like the previous round, only 4 drivers would drop out of both Q1 and Q2, with the continued absence of Marussia and Caterham. Lotus would find themselves struggling. Maldonado lasted the drivers out after outbraking himself, while overtaking Fernando Alonso. Grosjean, Verne and Perez would also drop out in Q1. With Kvyat knowing he was due to receive a 7-place grid drop and saving his tyres, only 13 cars would take to the track for Q2. With only 3 spots in the elimination zone, many of the front runners elected to run a single lap to preserve their tyres as well. It'd be Gutierrez, Hulkenberg and Sutil joining Kvyat in the drop zone by session's end. While Mercedes had been in command through the opening parts of qualifying, Williams would enter the battle for pole through the final part. Massa got within a tenth of a second of Rosberg during the first runs. It would still end in the same manner as most of the season though. Mercedes on top, with Rosberg taking pole ahead of Hamilton while Massa had to settle for third. Bottas would line up fourth ahead of Button, Vettel, Magnussen, Alonso, Ricciardo and Kimi Räikkönen.
Be aware, we're expecting the rain to stop in the next 10 minutes.
The top 4 on the grid got away from their spots in the same order from the start. Rosberg led his teammate away from the line. Vettel was the one to lose out, perhaps being overcautious after his 2012 incidents here, running wide at Subida del Lago and letting Magnussen and Alonso through. Massa was the first of the front runners to pit, setting off a flurry of activity. Mercedes had the luxury of staying out a little longer, with both emerging behind a clutch of medium runners, Hulkenberg taking the lead ahead of Kvyat and Grosjean through that phase. Rosberg would sit behind the Lotus for around half a lap, allowing Hamilton to close, but the German would make light work of the cars ahead to move away from his championship rival. Hamilton would remain behind Rosberg until the German headed for the pits on lap 26, Hamilton now pushing to try and overhaul his teammate. He would set the fastest lap of the race but make a major error, staying out 1 lap longer and spinning at turn 4. That would be the deciding factor in the fight for a win, Rosberg able to canter away to victory despite Hamilton's assertions that he would have been quick enough to take victory without his mistake. Behind them, Massa came perilously close to losing third after speeding in the pit lane, but due to a slow stop for Jensen, Button managed to hold on. Button would claim fourth ahead of Vettel, Alonso, Räikkönen, Hulkenberg, Magnussen and Bottas. What are the chances we can break our Q1 duck here in Brazil? This place is a lot of fun to drive, and it might not expose our lack of pace as much as other circuits, surprisingly though, considering this is quite full throttle. We can also take solace in the fact that we had a decent run at the Red Bull Ring, a very similar circuit in terms of layout, setup and pace, really, to here in Interlagos. We may still not be quick enough for Q2 though, so let's aim for 19th place and see if we can at least jump Kamui and the 2 Marussias and give ourselves a nice little springboard into turns 1 and 2.
You're a little off the pace in all sectors. It won't be easy getting out of this qualifying session, but see what you can do.
Into the penultimate qualifying session of 2014, practice was a wet affair, and because of the conditions we somehow entered the session 17th, ahead of the likes of Räikkönen and Button and Perez. I don't think that'll be the case in qualifying, seeing as it's dry. But it is a fun track to drive. Going to really have to throw it around in the middle sector, though, I think, to get anywhere. But let's get out there and see what we can do.
Your times through all sectors are off the pace, particularly in sectors 2 and 3.
Real nice confidence boost as we head into our fastest lap of the qualifying session. We're riding the curves through the CNRS. You really can to just gain a tiny little bit of an advantage. Car running low on fuel at this point, so we're really pushing hard. We just can't seem to close on anybody else. But we are up in the first sector. We have to sweep round Jensen Button just to try and avoid the Brit on the inside as we head up towards Ferrandura at the midpoint of the circuit. This is where it starts to get tricky, but we ride the curb nicely and cut really deep. Do run wide on exit though, which doesn't help us setting ourselves up for the middle sector. We're a little wide through the first part of it there, and it does compromise us all the way through the next couple of corners. Although here we use the camber really nicely to swing the car in and down towards Junção. Again, use as much curb as possible, which is exactly what we've done. And we're nearly half a second up, but still off the guys ahead. It's now just point and squirt all the way up the hill, pushing as hard as we can.
We're out of fuel.
As we run out of fuel and we throw it across the pit lane entrance, stay to the inside, but it's not enough.
Bad luck, not the result we were looking for. Last place on the grid.
And qualifying ends, as so very often, in last place, out in Q1, but we're out with fairly esteemed front-running company. Magnussen and Perez dropping out. Bianchi, Kobayashi and Chilton joining us as well. Gave it absolutely everything. We were only shaving sort of tenths off. Just nothing we could do pace-wise. The middle sector, I don't know what it is. It seems to have been the case all the way through the season. Middle sectors just lose like 2 seconds. But this is where we've started all season, and we've still had decent races of it. Let's cross to the Grand Prix and see if we can have a better race day. Here we are then, in the garage, pre-race for the Brazilian Grand Prix 2014. We start last, as we have done for most of this season. And I feel it could be quite the difficult race, but let's take a look at the grid order before we chat about that. Lewis Hamilton takes pole position ahead of Nico Rosberg. Ricciardo's in third ahead of Vettel, then it's Alonso. Bottas, Hulkenberg again, really impressive in seventh ahead of Raikkonen, Button and Massa. It's Kvyat, Verne, Gutierrez, Soutel and Grosjean, and Maldonado. For those of us knocked out in Q1, Magnussen, Perez. 2 strange names to see down here. Bianchi, Kobayashi, Chilton, and myself. And it is, I feel, going to be quite the difficult race here in Brazil. It's a short, fast circuit, which actually served us okay in Austria. But I don't know what it is. We've tailed off pace-wise again in the tail end of the season. After that sort of little mini purple patch mid-season, where we were doing all right and probably should have scored a point or two, it's been a bit of a slog ever since, and not going to lie, going to be quite glad to see the back of this car after the next round at Abu Dhabi. But I think the aim has got to be to try and claim a little bit of glory. Let's aim for 17th spot. It's nothing major, but it's something. At least we'll beat the guys around us. That would be quite nice. If we do what we did in Austria and manage to get a really good start and pick off a bunch of spots in the early stages, then it's just a case of trying to stay in front. Whether that'll be something we can do here with the long run up to turns 1 and 2, really going to be quite difficult. But I really am just prolonging the wait. Realistically, we need to just get the show on the road. So let's go across to the grid for the 2014 Brazilian Grand Prix. Allmerk front row, champion on pole. There's Kobayashi, there we are behind him.
Not where we wanted you to be, so we'll need you to push hard in the race.
Disappointed engineer Andy is disappointed as we get the 5th red light. And away we go in Sao Paulo, trying not to get any wheel spin. Actually a decent start for once, he says, as he starts falling back, but it's going to be a bit feisty into turn 1. I think Chilton and Kobayashi may have made a little bit of contact, and then I've slightly nudged Kamui, and somehow kind of swayed through the middle of the pack, where 16th, but Perez is right there with us. Maldonado and Grosjean, they're going 3 wide behind, and everybody just slams on the anchors. As we head towards Ferrandura, we're up to P12. Trying to go around the outside of Ferrandura, and we manage it. And there are the points. There's Jenson Button, right in behind Fernando Alonso. Can we dream of getting into the top 10? I don't think we can. I think that might have been our last chance. Might be able to have a crack into Jinsao, but Button gets away from us. We're in a little bit wide. That's going to mean Jean-Eric Verne is all over the back of us. And we get across the line in P11, that would be nice. Gutierrez having a think, Verne having a think. We're going to go almost 3 wide. We do cross the line in 11th, and we stay on the inside into the centre S to keep Verne behind us. Another decent first lap there. We're immediately in front battling as well, as Verne thinks about a move up the inside, and it looks like Alonso's lost out. He's the one that's fallen back. One of the few non-Mercedes victors this season. Two Mexican drivers behind us, Gutierrez and Perez. We're going to try and go 3 wide up the straight again. Looked like it was going to happen. Managed to hold them both off though. Felipe Massa now behind me. He'll get DRS as well, which should, you think, see the Williams fly by. Where's he going? Hold him to the outside. And try and brake him into turn 1, and we do. A little bump on the way through, but we keep him behind.
Let's try to hang on to this.
So looking one way, then the other. It's to the outside again, and again we will just brake him into turn 1. Just like Russia, just kind of hanging this position out, so we have to bring the engine mix down, which could make our life incredibly difficult. Massa one side, Perez the other, stay in front of both of them again. Much like Russia though, kind of fighting well above our station. Knowing all it's going to take is one car to drop off ahead of us and we're in the points. But a few times this season, even happened at Kota to be honest. Inside the top 10 last time out. A couple of retirements, we would have a couple of retirements at the end of the race, and we would have claimed points if we'd managed to stay up there. But it is quite a queue behind us again. All over the curbing.
It looks to us like Bottas is going to pit within the next couple of laps.
And Massa, both with DRS. Perez has managed to find the inside line. We will once again brake him into turn 1.
We think the car behind is running on full revs. He's trying to close the gap.
There's Felipe Massa once again. It's a little bit of bumping and barging with Perez, but we've somehow still continued to hold P11. It really does feel like a matter of time, because I feel like we're just going to lose spots in the first stops anyway. The longer we can hold this out, the better our end result may be.
Into the pits in the next 5 laps.
Sit in the middle of the track here, force them to go round me, which I've done. And then I, late on the brakes, squeeze back through the middle. Somehow stay ahead. We'll go to the middle, go defensive. Magnussen and Gutierrez also looking. A battle of 5 there into that left-hander. Magnussen, Perez, Massa's there as well. Magnussen to the outside. Somebody broken the defence, they haven't. Tyler's not feeling great, but not long left till the stop. Massa went for the inside line through the pit entry. He managed to somehow hold him off. There was a little tap. In this lap though, we run a little wide at Ferrandura and Magnussen has a little luck. I was about to say, coming in this lap, 99.9% sure we're going to lose places.
The option tyres looks like they're going for a shorter stint.
AI pit strategy is not as adaptive as they are in modern games, despite the fact Button and I think Bottas have both come in, or at least Button has. I don't think Magnussen will be following me into the pits, despite the fact he's a full pit stop behind. We'll see though. Oh no, he is backing off. Perez was as well. I think that was Gutierrez probably carrying on. Yeah, Gutierrez carries on. Maldonado will as well. Somebody else too. Two cars go past. Kobayashi will be one of them. Still get out ahead of Massa and Magnussen. About whether we're going to be fast enough to get back in front of Gutierrez and Maldonado.
Your car's fitted with the option tyres, just one stop to go now.
Should get back past Kobayashi and Chilton at least. Right, well, that little group are in. Chilton, Gutierrez, Maldonado and Kobayashi. Magnussen's chasing us. Magnussen's going to the outside. Late on the brakes. Almost goes around the outside through the second part of the centre S. And we do manage to get past Gutierrez just as he's coming out the pits. Perez will go defensive. We do retain P11 after the first stops. That's a nice change of pace to what we've been used to this season. Looks like our little train of traffic is starting to get lapped by Lewis Hamilton, who'd streaked away at the front, as we're dealing with Perez and Magnussen. Magnussen to the outside again. Magnussen the closest to breaking our defence and getting by. Once again, we keep him back. Train has split, so I think there is a leader amongst it. Magnussen, Massa, Perez, once again, the three of them buzzing around behind us. I think Hamilton has got past a few. Oh, as Magnussen stopped into turn 1, coming across us in the line, so there was a little nudge, but we maintain P11 for now. We'll force him to the very right hand side of the track, but the McLaren, seemingly the only one able to even make it past, and then loses position again. Now back to being Felipe Massa immediately behind us. Now all, however, getting lapped by Lewis Hamilton. They've all backed off. That looks like a Red Bull. We'll find out in a minute who it is. Apparently they're Massa running the primes, which could be a worry. Hamilton is leading still. Just been Perez I saw in Force India. Going to lead just for a minute. They're all still fighting around Lewis Hamilton. It was a Red Bull. It's Sebastian Vettel, who is somehow now in the lead. I think, yeah, he's jumped Hamilton while they've been lapping everybody around them. That is unfortunate for the world champion. Should be able to run wide enough to let Hamilton through without having to back off, and that's exactly what we managed to do. Doesn't matter though, Perez immediately on top of us. We get DRS off Hamilton. You can see how quick the Williams is. It doesn't really matter. Go defensive, run a little wide. Massa's tagged us. Save it and stay 11th. I mean, it feels like a futile effort at the moment with Massa on the prime tyres. Going to run a bit longer than the rest of us. Should pull out enough of a gap to jump us through the second phase of pit stops. I fear it would be just our luck this season as well that all 22 finish. Even if we'd managed to hold this position for the rest of this race, we wouldn't get into the points anyway.
Getting ready for a pit stop. We think it's going to be Massa. He should be pitting within the next few laps.
And Perez Magnussen getting lapped by somebody, so Massa the only car with us. As there's we'll come together a little bit there. Again. Once again, hold the home hero off though.
We think the car behind is running on full revs. He's trying to close the gap.
And Rosberg about to lap us. And the two Ferraris.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
So it has to move completely out of the way. Stitched up by blue flags in Brazil before, so we've got to be careful. Come on, Nico, by it. Through you go. There we go. Rosberg goes. Alonso as well. Oh, Alonso uses that to advantage.
Watch out for the car chasing you. He's less than a second behind and will
Trying to
use
get
DRS
Kimi's
to
way.
overtake.
Massa's there as well. As is Jean-Eric Verne. Massa nearly spins us round. He's got to get out of Raikkonen's way as well. As have we. I'm looking behind more than I'm looking forward as I just about get out of Raikkonen's way and then nearly nudge him off the track. And he's back behind us again. Come on, Kimi. There we go. That was all a little bit messy.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
Blue flags again. Is that Ricardo? Whoever it is, he's right in the middle of the pack there. They're all over the shop behind. There's Hulkenberg behind.
I need you to slow in the corners to call them off.
I think Kimi Raikkonen, not Kimi Raikkonen, sorry, Daniel Ricciardo. Keep getting those two mixed up. Yeah, Nico Hulkenberg. Let the German through in the Force India. Ricciardo should be able to follow Is that Ricciardo? Whoever it is, they're coming in.
The pit window is open. Come in this lap.
There's Daniel Ricciardo. So it was Daniel Kvyat, I guess. So we try and back off and run wide for Ricciardo. Come on. And there we go. We get a penalty.
You've been awarded a penalty for ignoring 3 wave blues. Drive-through penalty, drive-through penalty.
Trying desperately to get out of Ricciardo's way, but once again, I think for the second season running, if not 2 of the last 3, we'll get a drive-through for not getting out of the way. Trying so hard to make sure we let him through. Much like the last time it happened, it's the same lap we're due to pit, so we're just going to fall to the back of the field again. Super frustrating, because I think it'll just immediately send us off to the penalty. Most of these guys behind will probably come in. We'll do the penalty first, I think it is. Do the pit stop first. It's penalty first, then pit stop next.
Watch out for traffic as you rejoin the track.
Now we're behind Kobayashi, so it means we're probably going to get held in the pits as well.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Off the track to let Kvyat through.
The car behind is on newer tyres than us, be aware. Don't forget, pit in this lap. You need to let the car behind you past, he's not racing you for position.
We're going to head on in, there's Bottas, Button will be behind him. We'll get held up by Kamui as well. I think we're going to finish this race last. Kamui's managed to get in and get out.
Exit now.
Well, we're on our own, 12 laps to go. Are we going to be quick enough to even catch the Yankee Kobayashi Chilton ahead of us? I'm not entirely sure we're going to be. Kobayashi's in. Must have gone on to the primes in the middle stint. Whether I'm actually going to catch up to him or not, I don't know. I don't think so at this point. Well, he's just heading out the pits
the
though.
car ahead has a lot of fuel in reserve.
Chilton's only just heading out as well. Get right in the slipstream of Max Chilton. I was going to say, see if we can at least finish ahead of the Marussia, but he's already pulling away. Well, it looks like we're going to end this race trying to keep Kobayashi behind us while we fall a distance off Max Chilton. If we hadn't got that penalty, yeah, maybe we could have been 12th, 13th. Just trying to hold our own, but it doesn't look like. It looks like we're going to struggle to hold on to 21st at this point as we just squeeze Kobayashi to the edge of the circuit. Pretty hoping that Lewis Hamilton will catch us to put us 2 laps down, just to stop the pain quicker. Unless there's a carnage-filled Abu Dhabi, I don't think we're scoring points this year.
You need to increase the gap. You're within 1 second of the car behind. He will use DRS.
Well, my wish here has come true. Lewis Hamilton will put us 2 laps down to make this race even shorter. He's also given me a little buffer to Kobayashi, so that's good. At least for a moment. Get that all wrong.
Okay, we need you to make way for the car behind.
Come on, Seb. Imagine getting another penalty to the other Red Bull this time. Managed not to, and we keep Kobayashi behind us. We also let Rosberg through. Kobayashi though back with us. We do get DRS though off the Mercedes, so that's something. We can just about keep Kobayashi behind us. Rosberg's just jumped Vettel into turn 1 as well.
Watch it, we're on the same team. Blue flag conditions, let the car immediately behind through.
A little wide, nearly allowed Kobayashi through, saved by the fact he has to back out of it, let Alonso through, and then he tries an opportunistic move on us. We cut his nose off a little bit there. Aggressive defence, but I really don't want to finish last. If I can help it and just try and beat Kobayashi. It's the only thing we've managed to do this season in the teammate challenge is outrace him. He's going to come back at us again. Now, I knew there'd be seasons like this in this series, and these early seasons in the 2010 entrance I knew were going to be the most difficult. I didn't anticipate that the Caterham would be the absolute worst of them. I thought that honour would go to the 2012 HRT as Kobayashi's edged to the side of the track again. But the last 2 seasons in the Marussia MR02 and Caterham CT05 have really been eye-opening. We've properly struggled in both of them. One more race to try and make amends for this car. So our final lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix then, and we squeeze Kobayashi out once again. The race started so well. Catapulted from last to 11th. And we're defending brilliantly, if I do say so myself, as we have to defend one more time from Kobayashi. He's about to get lapped by Kimi Räikkönen. Pass on lap 1 around the outside of Verne, I think it was, here at Ferrandura. Personal highlight as we let Räikkönen through on the inside. We have to stay wide to let the Ferrari go. He's just not going. There we go. Come on, Kimi. There we are. Lewis Hamilton takes the win, the champion. Scores some more points. We defended brilliantly and then tripped up in a haze of blue flags. Apparently haven't let Ricciardo through within 3 of them. I think for the second time in the last few seasons we get a drive-through for blue flag infringements in Brazil. Then we had to come in and then come in again a lap later, but we crossed the line 21st. P21 then. We managed to hold off Kobayashi in the end, but we finished behind both Marussias. And basically everybody else. At the top end of things, Hamilton takes the win ahead of Rosberg, then it's Vettel, Alonso, Raikkonen, Hulkenberg 6th place, another great result for him. Button 7th, and Bottas in 8th, and it's Kvyat and Ricciardo the man that cost us, I think. Well, you could blame me for not getting out of the way, but I thought I'd given him enough opportunity and he just didn't want to go by. He takes 10th. Massa and Magnussen, the cars we were fighting with, Massa, Magnussen, Perez, 11th, 12th, 13th, is Gutierrez, Sutil, Grosjean, Verne, Maldonado, Bianchi, Chilton, ourselves and Kobayashi rounding out the full 22. So I was kind of half right when I said earlier in the race that my luck is such that we could run in 11th and hold the position through the pit phase and yet still only finish 11th because everybody would finish. I was half right. What does that do to the standings? Well, Hamilton has a 109-point gap as we head into the final round, already the champion. Nico Rosberg is still, I think, under threat from Sebastian Vettel, but it will take Vettel winning and Rosberg not finishing, I think, to take that position. So Rosberg almost comfortable in second ahead of Vettel, then it's Alonso, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Hulkenberg, all over 100 points. Then it's Bottas, Button, Magnussen and Massa, and Perez now in that fight still as well, I think. Then it's Kvyat, Sutil, Grosjean, Maldonado, Gutierrez, Verne still with 8 points. We remain 19th ahead of Chilton, Kobayashi and Bianchi. And in the Constructors, Mercedes already won the championship, 240 clear of Red Bull. They're comfortably clear of Ferrari, so 1, 2, 3 is all sorted. Force India looking to claim 4th, just ahead of Williams and McLaren, who are battling it out there as well. Toro Rosso jumped back ahead of Lotus and Sauber, and we remain 10th, just ahead of Marussia, based on purely results and purely mine. Despite the fact we only took 21st here, and that was Brazil and another race which could have ended so much better. Massa, I think, would have jumped us with his alternate strategy, but we might have been able to come out of that one in 12th, 13th place, which would have been a nice result. Not the points that we crave with one round left of this season, but it still would have been something, I guess. And that last round is next. It's Abu Dhabi. It's double points as well. So if we can come home in P10, we'll get double the amount of points we finished with last season, which would mean the 2013 Marussia would be our worst season. Although on the balance of things, you'd say it's probably still going to be the Caterham CT05 of 2014. But at the end of the day, the points are what matters. Can we get points? Well, hopefully you'll join me for one last time in the green machine from Norfolk/Malaysia to find out. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Do all the good stuff. You know the drill by now. I shall see you for one last round of 2014. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.